I am Justin Boyd.
And I kind of wish I was Sentry, just, a bit, but I am not. I am Brittany Pacheco, and we are the Watchers in the Basement.
Wait, Brittany, are we the Watchers in the Basement? Because I think we're something else.
What is happening?
We are the Thunderbolts. That's right. We got Red Guardian on the pod today with this very uncomfortable helmet that it hurts a lot right here. These little things sticking out, but
you look like you have a massive, mega mind head. Jesus.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah, we're going to talk about Thunderbolts. Yeah, I'm going to take this off because it's hurting quite a
Please
bit.
Do.
But very cool. Very cool merch. Theater merch. I got this at Cinemark. So
nice.
Yeah, definitely pick that up if you have a chance. Yeah, like Brittany said, we're the Watchers of the Basement. Welcome to the Watchers of the Basement. We are here today to discuss Thunderbolts, the latest film from Marvel Studios, the latest entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And before I get Brittany's thoughts on the film, I'm going to hit you with the Thunderbolts asterisk facts. So Thunderbolts release date May 2nd, 2025. This is the 13th May release for Marvel. May is obviously the first week in May is a huge date for Marvel. Just a couple of days ago, we celebrated the 17th anniversary of Iron Man being released. So the MCU is 17 years old. And in those 17 years, 13 Mays have featured a MCU film, including all 3 Iron Man movies, all 4 Avengers films. Although Avengers Infinity War and Endgame both came out in the last week of April, they were originally scheduled for May, but they bumped them up because it's like, we could just make all the money. We'll just take over at the end of April too. And it's worth noting that the next Avengers film is slated to come out May 1st of 2026. That's Avengers Doomsday, which we might talk a little bit about at the end of this pod or at some point in this pod, given what happened in Thunderbolts. So like I said, May 2nd, 2025 release date. It's the 36th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the final film of Phase 5 with a runtime of 2 hours and 6 minutes. The movie has a budget of $180 million. The box office so far, from what I've seen, is $162 million. It's directed by Jake Schreier, who, if you watch the Netflix show Beef, he worked on that show. It was written by Eric Pearson and Joanna Callow. If you're a fan of The Bear, you might recognize Joanna Callow's name. That also might be why the characters felt like characters in this movie. But I'll save my thoughts for when we get to that part of the podcast. And the cast, of course, includes Florence Pugh, Sebastian Stan, Wyatt Russell, Olga Kurylenko, Louis Pullman, Geraldine Viswanathan, David Harbour, Hannah John-Kamen, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Brittany, what are your thoughts on Thunderbolts asterisk?
If you're a longtime watcher of this podcast, first and foremost, thank you for being here. Shout out to King B Johnson and M Moves who are in today's live chat. And if there are others out there, we appreciate you being here during the live chat. If you're watching the replay, let us know your thoughts about this movie in the comments down below. So if you're a longtime watcher of the Watchers in the Basement, you'll know that I try very hard not to go into anything with high expectations, let alone just expectations, right? I don't want to set myself for disappointment. That being said, I really enjoyed this movie. I know a lot of people were trying to say this is like the Marvel version of Suicide Squad, and I'll be real, did not enjoy Suicide Squad. Neither versions, okay? Not either, okay?
Yep.
This was enjoyable. This was, I think, well paced. I think the story held up. There are moments that I feel like there was just a little, maybe too much filler. But we'll talk about that as we go through this pod, of course. But overall, I thought the action was great. I thought the camaraderie was great. I thought the comedic timing was great. It hit. It definitely hit for me. Now, will I say the MCU is completely back? That's a little hard to tell because MCU's been juggling with a lot. Obviously, we had said earlier during COVID that the downfall in a way was too many platforms. You got to, do too many things and it's hard to make things connect.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with the conclusion of Phase 5 and also with the post credit, I'm excited about this. I'm actually even more excited about this. I think we're on our way back to being where the MCU once was. A lot of people consider the Avengers, Endgame, Infinity, that whole era to be like the golden age of the MCU. And I would agree with that. But I think this has to kind of like be its own thing. And I think we're on the right track, considering the pivot that had to be made after the loss of Kang, if you will. But that being said, I really did enjoy this movie, Justin. Like I said, there's little parts throughout the movie that I'm like, okay, this is getting dragged out a little too long. Let's get back to the main part of the whole plot of this movie. But I really enjoyed it. I haven't seen it as many times as you have, but I did enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I love this film. I've seen it 3 times. I've seen it in 3 different formats. I saw it in IMAX at a fan event. I saw it in 3D, and I saw it in Dolby Sound at an AMC theater. So yeah, I'm a big fan of it. Appreciate King B. Johnson's comment here with he had the Watchers in the Basement with the Z. We might be bringing up a Z here in a little bit.
I didn't catch that the first time we shared this.
Yeah,
That's great.
stuff.
Good
Yeah,
job.
great stuff. No, I love this film. I really think that this is one of the best. I think this is probably one of the top 10 MCU films. Now, when I said that, I mean it's probably closer to 10 than it is obviously to 1, but it's like it's right in there. It's a really fun watch. I mean, I've seen it 3 times already. Obviously, I think it's very rewatchable, but I think it's I don't know, I feel like this is a movie that you're right, coming off the Infinity Saga, which was the golden age of the MCU and just the golden age of superhero movies. The multiverse saga has been hit or miss, up and down. It hasn't been connected. And this was, them taking steps to connect it and bringing these characters together and creating a new team. And I think this just worked on every level. I think the cast was amazing. You had Florence Pugh, who is the star of the movie. I think that the breakout star is Louis Pullman playing Century / the Void / Bob. I thought he was great. Yeah, he did a great job. And I think once again, the writing is so strong in this movie. The characters feel like characters, and that's the thing about the MCU is it's like this movie has character moments, which that's what the MCU has been built on. Think about all the things in the past. Yeah, there's great action and all the things you'd want in an action franchise like a blockbuster franchise, but like it's the character moments that keep you coming back, and that's what they can use in the future for movies to have callbacks and stuff, and to really kind of connect it. With kind of things that you can feel. And so, yeah, I think when the story of the MCU is completely written, which who knows if that it'll ever be written, it'll probably go on forever. But I do think that people will look back at this moment and say this was a time where the MCU took a step back to where it used to be, I believe. And so, yeah, really love this movie. I love the marketing of this movie. Like everything about this movie just kind of hit. Like having the asterisk in the title. I've never seen a movie that had an asterisk in a title, and then obviously we were trying to figure out like what does it mean, and before the movie there was a lot of conjecture about does it mean are they going to become the Dark Avengers, are they going to become the New Avengers, what is it, does it mean anything? And I love that they actually did have a meaning for it, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But yeah, just the marketing, the Wheaties box stuff, which that's the one collectible that I really want to get my hands on, is the Wheatie box, because apparently, not apparently, but Wheaties put the boxes on sale online a couple days ago, and they only sold 1,000 of them. They sold out instantly, so I didn't even know the sale was happening. Would love to get my hands on one of those Wheatie boxes. If
Dang, I was at the grocery store this morning too. I should have gone.
No, but I don't think they're actually with cereal. I think they're like the
Oh,
mini ones that you're
like
seeing that
collector
say
item.
Thunderbolts in the back of them.
Got
Yeah.
it.
So
Cute. Yeah, they had a giant Wheatie box display at the
your
Regal
theater.
that I went to because I saw it
Yeah.
in IMAX. I figured that's like the most appropriate way to watch this movie, and I highly recommend everyone else to do the same. So yeah, that was kind of cool because you had the big poster of what our thumbnail for this pod looks like, but then you also had the big Wheaties box, which I wish I took a picture of it now that I'm thinking about it, but
Yeah. I
it
got a
is what
pic
it
of it.
is.
Yeah, all 3. I went to a Regal, I went to an AMC, I went to a Cinemark. All 3 had the box prominently displayed. So very cool marketing. I love the taglines for the movie too. They had a couple really good taglines. You had the one, not super, not heroes, not giving up, to kind of,
Yeah.
the team's motto basically. And then careful who you assemble, which I think is great, which also kind of
Ah,
hints toward
a great
Avengers.
tease.
And then talking about the music by a group Sewn Lux. It like all the little hints and sounds from Alan Silvestri's Avengers theme.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I was watching the movie the first time and I was like, I think they're going to become the Avengers. And I was like, this is really cool. And like, it's not that I was like surprised by that, but like,
Mhm.
it's something that we all kind of hope that we've all been wondering, like, what are they going to do with the Avengers? Since
Yeah.
Endgame, the Avengers have been MIA. They're just not around, and they really haven't even tried to put them back together. And so
Mhm.
I like the fact that in this movie that we have a team of Avengers, even if it's with a Z, even if yeah,
That
whatever.
was
Like
hilarious.
if they're the B Avengers instead of the Avengers, that's fine. It's just nice to have a team back. And
Yeah.
I just want to say the movie also looked really great. Like it looked like a movie. It looked like the characters were in the movie. Whereas
It
like,
looked like an Avengers movie.
yeah,
Let's
right,
just be
yeah.
real.
Whereas like you go back to like the previous movie, Captain America: Brave New World. There's so much like green screen stuff, and
Oof.
in this movie you
Yeah.
just didn't see that. You didn't because I
Mm-mm.
don't think they had the rounds and rounds and rounds of reshoots. I think it was just like a typical Marvel movie where they shot it, they had a reshoot
Mhm.
period, and then they put it together and it was done. So it
Yeah.
looked like a movie. And then my final big takeaway is like this movie is the kind of the unofficial start of the summer season. That's why Marvel always grabs this May window every year.
Mhm.
And there are two other very big superhero movies coming out this summer, both of them in July. We have Superman, July 11th. We have Fantastic Four, July 25th, which this movie obviously connects with, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But I thought if you had told me 2 weeks ago, like, okay, I want you to rank these movies, which one do you think will be the ones I like the best? I
Yeah.
would have said Thunderbolts will probably be third, right? Now, after seeing Thunderbolts, I think the bar is really high for Superman and Fantastic Four. Like those movies better be like literally fantastic, or I think Thunderbolts is gonna steal the superhero crown for 2025 at the box office.
Mhm.
Maybe not like ticket sales wise, but
Sure.
I think for the quality production, this was a really really good movie.
I couldn't agree more. This movie actually, and even before the movie began, the previews that shown did include, of course, the Fantastic Four, and giving the trailer another go, because I tend to not watch too many trailers these days because I just don't. I'm really hoping that that movie will restore my faith
Mhm.
in the Fantastic Four franchise, because I've never cared for it. I didn't care for it with the Fox version. Didn't care for the reboot, sadly, which had, Michael B. Jordan in it. But I don't care for the franchise. I don't care for any
Yeah,
of it. But I'm hoping, because one, Pedro Pascal is in it. I do hope it's going to restore my faith in the whole thing. But
yeah,
this movie, with the post credit kind of linking into what's coming up with Fantastic Four, I'm like, oh, I need the explanation about this now, like
yeah,
stat. I need to understand. I need to know. So I I have I don't want to say I have expectations, but it's kind of hard not to have expectations at this point, given that
yeah.
this movie, like you're saying, set the bar really high for the superhero movies that are coming out for the summer.
Mhm.
I will actually be on a cruise when Superman drops, so I'll have to, join y'all at a later time, or just kind of talk about that at a different time. But I will be back in the States for Fantastic Four, so looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a fun July, I think. But you talked about the post credit scene. We're gonna break it down a little bit later on. We're kind of gonna work through the movie a little bit, but I just want to say, like, I thought this was probably the best post credit scene that I think the MCU's ever had, or it's one of the best. I
I
mean,
think it's the longest.
it was the longest scene, but also just kind of racking my brain. I was like, like if you think like of the post credit scenes that had importance, there were a couple that stuck out to me. There was obviously in Spider-Man: Homecoming when Aunt May learns that Peter is Spider-Man at the very end, and then in the next movie, Spider-Man: Far From Home maybe has the bigger one where Mysterio reveals to the world that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Those are huge post credits, but the rest of them, like, and maybe I'm missing some, but I don't really remember like things that were this important. Obviously, the very first movie, with Nick Fury in Iron Man talking about the Avengers Initiative, like, putting together these heroes, that's huge too. But yeah, there's for the most part, I feel like this was probably the best one. Uh, Brittany, looks like we got somebody joining us. Brittany, you're on mute. You're on mute.
Fuck, one day I'm gonna get it fucking right. We were just talking about this off air. God damn it. Sorry. the one and only Frank Cooper. Frank, thanks for joining us for today's Thunderbolts pod.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Good to be here. Sorry for the tardiness. I had to take care of a few things.
It's okay. Frank, so we were just kind of talking about our overall thoughts. What'd you think about the movie overall?
It was fine. It was fine. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it particularly. I'm really big into like attention to detail, right? Like I think Marvel, I'm gonna make a couple points. The first point I want to make is about attention to detail. And not so with storylines, but more so with like when they cast an actor or actress to play a Marvel character, they do a good job of like finding the actor or actress and ingratiating them and fusing them with that character. Like on a grand, like for example, on a grand space, when people see Robert Downey Jr., they think Tony Stark. Like it's like it's a symbiotic. It's to the point where it's symbiotic with not just comic book fans, but like just casual fans now. When you see Ryan Reynolds, you see Deadpool, you see Wade Wilson. It's like they do a stupendous job of like finding the actor or actress and that actor or actress going through doing their homework of like studying that character. There was I'm not a big Doctor Strange fan, but I love Cumberbatch. I think he did a great job. And there was a clip of Cumberbatch. What'd you say?
I said you better.
There was like a photo of Cumberbatch like reading like issue 125 of Doctor Strange. Like he wanted to study the role and like ingratiate himself of being Dr. Stephen Strange. And these are the things that I appreciate actors and actresses. I mean, that's pretty much like the baseline job of being an actor and actress is pretty much study the role and like be one with the role. This is why I say this, and this is why I'm so disappointed in Sentry. This is Sentry in the comic books. This is Robert Reynolds. This is what he is in the comic books.
Yeah.
This is what I got. I got.
That's an action figure, though.
No, I get, but the action figure is not far from what I saw in the movies. This is a diamond, right?
You don't think he looked like the character? Really?
This is a Cuban zirconia.
He wasn't as buff as the comic book illustration. I will admit to that.
Henry Cavill, when he became Superman, he morphed into Superman. I don't, and this is why.
Well, okay, he looked like the guy in the costume, but I mean, he didn't really play Superman or Clark Kent. He just was. He got jacked up and he looked like the guy in the costume. Yeah, you're right.
You say that, but a lot of people love Henry Cavill Superman. I mean,
they couldn't. Okay, I would love for those same
people by DC. Say what you want about DC.
Yeah.
Say what you want about DC and like the writing and all that kind of stuff. But people love Henry Cavill Superman.
I bet those people couldn't give me a line of dialogue from that character. Whereas with the MCU characters, you could 25 things you could say that Tony Stark said. Or
okay, well,
Justin, let Frank talk. Let him make this. No. You'll have your turn. Let him talk.
We can keep it. We can keep it to MCU guys. Chris Evans, a big reason why Chris Evans stopped playing Captain America because of the physical torture it took to get himself beefed up, get himself looking like Captain America. Hugh Jackman, pushing 60, ingratiated himself, put himself through the physical grueling of playing James Howland, aka Logan. Pullman, that he looked like he got out of bed and just put the suit on and said, "Oh, action! I'm ready to play Sentry." He didn't look like. You have to maybe believe that you're playing who you're playing, and I didn't believe it. Like I saw, and I'm so Pullman is a nice guy. I'm sure he's a good person. I'm sure he pays his taxes. I'm sure he walks a lady across the street. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I didn't believe he was Sentry. And I think because I'm such a Marvel fan as far as like reading the comic books and like knowing what Robert Reynolds is and what he can be. Like 4 years ago, I heard about rumors about Sentry coming to the MCU. I've been excited for the better part of 4 years.
And do you know who's going to play him originally?
Do
You know who's going to play him originally?
I don't know.
Stephen Yeun.
I would have been fine with that. He's a good actor, and
He's like a foot shorter than Louis Pullman, I think.
Hugh Jackman is 6'3", Wolverine's 5'4". I mean, again,
no, but what I'm saying is like to be the same size as that comic book photo, like you're gonna have to be tall and jacked, not short and maybe kind of jacked. You know,
well, actors, you don't have to be as tall. You have to just look the part as far as like physical stature, like as far as like putting on like the mask to look like that person. And look like
they made Tony Stark look like he was the same height as Doctor Strange, and he absolutely is not. They're worlds different. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't believe who he was. I didn't believe that he was Sentry in the movie. That was the first problem I had with like the attention to detail of the Sentry. The second problem I had with this movie was the Thunderbolts are grounded. They're a grounded group of heroes or anti-heroes, what you want to call them. Yeah. And my concern was to have such a super powered individual like Robert Reynolds. Aesthetically, what would that look like? How can it look believable to be like, you know what? These former assassins, fallen heroes, what you want to call them, can stand a chance fighting Robert Reynolds. And the whole time I'm watching this movie, I didn't believe that they had a fucking chance. Even with the mental health aspect and the void aspect and all this kind of stuff. I think what made Avengers and like team up movies so good is that you had a villain or adversary that was powerful, but you truly believe that the protagonist in the story had a fighting chance of stopping the antagonist. And at any point of this movie, aesthetically, I was just not pleased with the fighting scenes. I was not pleased with like the conflict between this powerful super individual and Robert Reynolds and these ragtag guys of the Thunderbolts. I like the Thunderbolts. They're great. They're a great ensemble cast. I just wish that they fought somebody more realistic for me to believe aesthetically on film. When Avengers are fighting the Chitauri or the Black Order, yes, they're overpowered at one point in time, but like you believe that you know what? They might go on a 21-0 run because they have that ability to make a run to combat these people. When you watch Infinity War and like you're watching Cap and T'Challa and Black Widow, they're getting submerged and from the Black Order and getting their ass beat, and you see that fighting axe just coming around the goddamn Wakanda field, and Thor and Groot and Raccoon Rocket are just coming at and whooping ass. I believe it because like those guys are powerful enough to combat the conflict. I thought this was Alabama playing St. Mary's. It wasn't a fair fight for me. It wasn't believable for me to sit there for 2.5 hours to be like, you know what?
I mean, it was only 2 hours.
Florence Pugh has a chance. You know what? John Walker has a chance to stop this guy. It just wasn't believable for me.
It's a battle with Robert Reynolds. It's a battle between the Void and Sentry. So it's not so much the fight. Like it's not Sentry versus the Thunderbolts. It was like Sentry versus himself. That was the conflict for him.
But I wish that conflict was more believable of like having people that can get in the way of like the Void and Sentry. And it is like for me, like the Avengers or like Thor, someone who's as powerful as him to combat that conflict would have been as believable. And just to me, it wasn't believable. I wish they would have got a more grounded villain or more grounded individual to be in this movie in Thunderbolts movie. The third issue I had was the post-credit scene. It was long, and wow. I didn't like the post-credit scene. I like Doomsday is coming out next May, and like you have to start putting down groundwork because like the whole Jonathan Majors thing kind of put everything into a tizzy, like it flipped everything on its ear. So they had to scramble to like put together like this storyline to like prep for Doomsday. And I was hoping to get more of an explanation of how you're going to fuse all these heroes, all these people against Robert Downey next May. And you gave me a post-credit scene of something I know is happening in July. I know Fantastic Four is coming. I know that. I seen the previews. I know they're coming. Yeah. Give me something that that's going to surprise me as far as like, oh shit, this is going to fuse the Doomsday story that's coming in less than a year. And I don't know. The movie's not bad. It's okay. I think I had too much expectations for it, for knowing what's coming next May, and it just, for me, it kind of fell short.
Wow, you're the opposite of me completely. Like I can't believe you didn't like the post-credit scene. Like they're trying to connect stuff because they hadn't done the work in the past, and I think they're doing a good job this late in the game to make it make sense. Now, granted, the thing is, we don't know what Doomsday is actually going to be. We know there's a ton of people in it, but we don't know, like, are they going to fight him right away? Is it, like, who knows how it's going to, obviously it's going to be 2 movies. It's Doomsday and Secret War. So it's not super clear what they're going to do. And I don't want to know exactly what they're going to do, but it's good to see they're connecting this movie to the next movie, because did I think that obviously with Fantastic Four, obviously they're going to leave their universe and end up in the 616 somehow, right? But we don't know how that's going to happen. That's why we have to watch the movie to see that happen. But I thought it was cool to connect those two, to bring up the fact that they're the new Avengers, that Sam Wilson, is, also, Captain America. He's trademarked the name Avengers. So we're going to have like rival Avengers teams. I mean, that's pretty cool to set that up, right?
Sure, I guess.
Wow.
Fine.
Well, like, what would you prefer the post-credit scene to be?
Something that wasn't Fantastic Four, because I know the movie's coming out in July. It would have been nice to see, like, again, we have like 40 people that's going to be in this Doomsday movie. You have a lot of story. Like, you have one more movie left until Doomsday next May. And you said something to the fact that we don't know how soon the fighting is going to happen. We know it's going to be fighting in Doomsday. The movie's called Doomsday next May. It's going to be fighting. And like,
but
no, like, there's no storyline. There's not enough storyline to like fuse all of this prior to next May. Like, I think what made the Thanos story so great is that you had 10 years of foreshadowing of when this purple motherfucker was coming to conquer Earth. And like, now you have less than a year to like paint a story somewhat between Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, and then the movie Doomsday. It's just not enough story, enough time to like prep people to be like, hey, here's Robert Downey and playing this other character, and there's no like setup to it, I guess. And it puts a lot of pressure on Fantastic Four too, because like now you have to like, we know they're coming to the main timeline, but like you don't know, like there's not enough prep time. It's like you baking the cake, but like to put the cake in the oven, you need 45 minutes for this motherfucker for the yeast to rise and all that, and you pretty much putting it shit in with 5 minutes left. Like, all right, cake. Now give me a cake in 5 minutes. There's not enough prep time. I don't know how this is gonna land. I mean, it's difficult to tell, but it's like you're putting a lot of pressure in this July movie to before this big movie next May, and it's just like I don't know if they're gonna be able to stick this landing.
I mean, the Fantastic Four, though, that movie is going to be about the Fantastic Four and their storyline. Then, like, maybe a post-credit scene will lead to Doomsday. Maybe. I assume there'll be a post-credit scene, but I think the movie will just be about their story living in their retro-futuristic world. And then, obviously, they have to escape their world because of Galactus or because of Silver Surfer or whatever happens with an incursion. That's what the movie's going to be. Maybe there'll be a post-credit for Doomsday, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see about that. Brittany, what'd you think about the post-credit scene?
Been over here munching on Chex Mix while y'all have this very lively debate. The post-credit, I really enjoyed it, actually. I liked how obviously it's taking place 14 months after the events of the movie.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing this new team, this new Avengers, they've kind of settled into the tower, which was formerly the Avengers Tower. During the movie, it was called the Watchtower. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But they settled. They're trying to, continue to work together as a team. They're dealing with the issue of Captain America, aka Sam Wilson, who is trademarking or trying to trademark Avengers, right? Red Guardian has this great idea to change the S to a Z, and we might just do that here on the Watchers in the Basement. Who knows? But you know, Yelena is I guess in a way the leader of this new group, right? She and I love it. I love that idea for someone who kind of struggled with her own identity and how is she going to navigate this life.
Yep.
She does at least take cues from Bucky, who obviously has had some sort of experience with the team, not necessarily Avengers per se, but just being a part of military and what have you. And so when they see that on the screen that something has entered their atmosphere, and I kind of got spoiled to what the post-credit scene may have been earlier on social media, which is why I really tried to stay away from social media when movies premiere. But I saw in the credits, the very end, the song credits for the Fantastic Four theme, and I'm like, well, that's got to be the post credit scene. Obviously, why else would that be even listed if not in the post credits? So when I saw that it was a Fantastic Four ship and then it cut away to black, I'm like, okay, well, obviously this is leading to Fantastic Four, which in previous post credit, mid credit scenes in other MCU movies, not a lot of them have paid off, right? I was kind of hoping more from those post credit scenes, and it just never really went anywhere. But this, at least, I think is intentional, methodical, and to piece it to the next movie, which will be coming out this July. So, we have someone joining us in the chat, the Dawn. Appreciate you being here so much. The moment we knew Sentry was in the movie, we knew how it was going to end, and there was no chance. I guess this was shared during y'all's debate about Sentry and whatnot. The Dawn also says people point out that it was said there's fighting in space before they show the Fantastic Four ship. So, and I think that's kind of something that maybe even, what was it, Captain Marvel had said in one of the previous movies, that, you know, just because you don't hear about it or you don't see it, that doesn't mean that there aren't other worlds that are fighting and having their own problems, that kind of thing. So it was something said a long time ago, but it still rings true. So I appreciate you, the Dawn, for being here.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a good post credit. I mean, like I said, I think it's one of the better ones. I mean, most of these post credits really they're usually kind of jokes, or, you know, they don't lead anywhere. So this one leads to the very next movie, which will lead to Doomsday. So I did appreciate that. Let's talk about the cast overall. Let's talk about how the team kind of comes together and the people in that team. Frank, what'd you think? What'd you like about the Thunderbolts, how they were put together as far as throughout the movie? Whereas, you know, with Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, who, you know, she's the actual villain of the movie, not so much Sentry, but you know, she's the person pulling the strings, how she sets the you know, she sends Yelena after Ghost, who's going after Taskmaster, and then you have John Walker, who's there to take out Yelena, I believe. Is that how it works? Okay.
Yeah.
What'd you think about that stuff, Frank?
I mean, the cast is fine. I mean, I think this movie was set up for Florence Pugh to take the reins and really steal the show, and she did a great job. I mean, the Taskmaster thing I thought was kind of weird. To like, she's dead, right?
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like they they like broadcasted her on all these marketing things, and like she dies in the first 10 minutes of the movie. That was kind of weird, but
Same.
But no, like, I mean, Winter Soldier, I mean, the cast is great. I love the cast. It's they really show a lot of I guess chemistry. The Red Guardian, the Russian accent just kills me. It does. It's a bit overkill for me. It just maybe because I know he's not Russian. I don't know. It doesn't do much for me. I know they're trying to make him the comic relief of the movie, and I caught myself being very annoyed by his voice halfway through the movie. I thought what's in that place is a Ghost. Is that her name?
Yeah.
She's fine too. She's so robotic. I know her character's robotic. It's hard. It's hard to like get chemistry when these people haven't really worked together in movies prior. So like throughout the movie, I thought they were trying to figure out, and maybe that was by design. They're not heroes. They work solo and this, that, and the third. It felt disjointed at times with all of them together, and I felt like they had to rely on Florence's Pugh's brilliance to like carry them through scenes at times. There were times I was looking at my watch like, okay, when's the fighting happening? I thought for as many assassins are in this movie,
is it your least favorite Marvel movie? Like, I mean, where does this rank amongst the 36?
No. The Captain Marvel movies, the Marvels are the worst in my opinion.
I mean, do you think that Captain America: Brave New World was better than this movie?
No, I don't.
Okay, because to me, it's not like close.
But I didn't say Captain America. But I didn't say Captain America was one of the better. I mean,
okay.
It's not top 10. I could never name 10 Marvel movies. I love all 3 Avenger movies. Yeah, all 3 Spider-Man movies, all 3 Captain America movies. That's the 9 movies right there. Like, it's not top 10. It's middle. It's like 18th, 17th in my book as far as the 30 Marvel movies have been out. It's in the middle. Like I say, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not great. It's in the middle for me. It's an average, decent movie. I don't say I had Captain America: Brave New World in the same spectrum. It's fine. It's fine. I'm not excited to go see it 3 or 4 more times like I am the other movies, but it's fine. It's not bad. I think where it was lined up, I expected a lot for where it was lined up in the schedule, leading to Doomsday. So, but by itself, it's not a bad movie. I don't hate it. No.
Good to know. Brittany, what'd you think about the cast coming together?
I feel so uncomfortable right now. This is so strange. Like, I think if anything, Frank, because you obviously are such a Marvel fan, like both comics and movies, I can't necessarily speak for Justin, but I'm gonna guess that he probably thought that you would think of this movie as highly as he does, and to hear the issues that you draw with it, which are valid issues, obviously. It's a little surprising, just a little surprising. So that's why I'm like over here, like, oh my god, like, are they gonna argue this entire time? Oh my god!
Yeah, but I think that's what makes podcasts good too. Like, you can't. I mean, we don't have to agree on everything. I mean, you know, it's fine. I mean, this podcast is the same vibe I have with Love and Thunder. It's the same type of vibe. Like, you guys were high on it. I wasn't high on it.
Yeah,
you know, but it wasn't a bad movie. It just wasn't. It was one of my favorites.
Yeah. No, I understand. So back to you, Justin, to answer your question about what I thought about the cast. I obviously these are characters from other installments that I've watched before. I did appreciate at least how they explained who John Walker was, with probably keeping in mind those who maybe did not watch The Falcon and the Winter Soldier and didn't know that he had been the new Captain America for like 0.5 seconds, right? As Yelena had said, she's like, yeah, you're like, you know, all of 2.5 seconds. Anyway, I did appreciate that, at least, because again, this is the issue that Disney Marvel has come across, is trying to fill platforms and stories, and it's hard. It's become a lot. That being said, I was curious as to why they even brought in Taskmaster at all, if they're just going to like kill her off. Like, was that something that was changed early on in production, or was this kind of like a reshoot type of situation? Like, I didn't understand why that character was part of like the marketing. I mean, you can see it here in the backgrounds that we've got at the top, that it looked like Taskmaster was going to be part of this new team up.
Not really, because she was painted into like a couple of things, but most of the marketing, most of the trailers, you don't really see her. You only see her in like where she was actually in the movie, and then they also put her in the elevator scene. But she was just added digitally in there, and then also in that.
But also, why?
Because they didn't want you to know they were going to kill her off right away.
But why did in the movie? Then she should have in the movie.
She has a tie to Yelena from. I mean, she was introduced.
That was hardly even a tie, like
barely a tie.
The Black Widow movie. That's the only movie she was in.
But the tie was more. The tie was more with Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow than was Florence Pugh's Black Widow.
Yeah.
I mean, she fights both of them in the movie, in Black Widow.
True, but I don't know. I just thought that was kind
Scarlett Johansson's character's not alive, so I mean, I'm just saying, like
for now, just saying for now. That being said, I you know, these are cast members that I've seen in other installments. I thought it was great. I had, well, this is more of a story issue, not so much a casting issue. I like David Harbour. I think he's great as Red Guardian. Yes, he's like the comedic relief. Is it over the top? Maybe just a hint over the top, but I think that's just kind of intentional
though. It's
intentional. So quick shout out to Christian here in the chat. He says, "Hi, I'm here for Bob." At the very end of the movie, if y'all have watched the Minion movie, you understand this reference, King Bob. But I literally did that at the end of the movie. I'm a dork like that. Christian says it's like the comics though. In the comics, characters and stories are brought in the next issue with not much info unless you read it. And then he also says they wanted to throw us off. They always add or remove information to throw us off from the trailer. And that's clearly what was done with this movie. I was like, well, damn, that kind of sucks for the actress who took on this role. It's like, hey, you're going to be in a big team up movie. And it's like, psych, you're going to die in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that a lot of people that are complaining about the character, they didn't like the character in Black Widow because they made the character a woman instead of a man, right? So then now they're killing off the woman character that they didn't like. And I think those same people are like, well, why'd you kill her off? It's like, well, what do you want? Like, why don't y'all write the movie? Why don't y'all write the movie? We'll see what happens.
Yeah. No, but I mean, for the team of now, I did have to excuse myself from the movie at one point, so I have no knowledge of what transpired, and it was after Bucky came into the picture and presumably saved John Walker, Ghost, Yelena, and the Red Guardian from that chase, but he ends up taking them in as well. So I have no idea what happened in that scene. If we get to that scene, y'all are going to have to talk about it and fill me in because I have no idea what happened. But I think it worked. I liked how they fought together. It was fun. It was fun to see just how everyone's fighting styles just kind of meshed into a team up. And I don't know, it kind of worked. In my opinion, it did.
Yeah, I think so. Frank, what'd you think about Brittany mentioned Bucky? This is his, I think, 9th or 10th appearance in the MCU. What'd you think about his role in this film?
Oh, I love Bucky. I'm biased. I've been a Winter Soldier fan since I was 12. So it's like he's Sebastian Stan's great as Bucky. I love the I guess the maturation of his character being from like the most wanted man on the planet to like now, you know, a congressman or in Congress. Like he's in the MCU, he's one of the few characters I actually like love seeing his evolving of his character, how he's such a central character now, moving forward, and how they like kind of like trying to use more of his intelligence and like expertise in espionage and like diplomacy now, where this guy was literally just axing off people, famous people and like powerful people for the better part of like 70 years as a Hydra agent, and now he's revered at. It's kind of cool. It's like the redemption story of his character. So like just seeing him, like anything he's in, I'm a fan of. Like I love. I mean, I was one of the few people that love fucking Winter Soldier. I just love seeing him on screen. I think he's a great actor. Yeah, I mean, I have no qualms with his character in the movie. I thought he did great.
So I have a question. With him being part of the new Avengers, does that mean he's out of Congress?
Yeah, I think that's clear. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was definitely short-lived.
just making sure. The scene of him though, riding up on the motorcycle in what I guess, because I saw in the credits it said Utah unit, so that where that vault was,
it's in Utah.
Was set in Utah. Him riding up on the motorcycle, and I said this to John, I was like, why did he look like Tom Cruise? Like, why did he like the hair and the motorcycle? I'm like, and John said to me, he goes, for someone who doesn't like Tom Cruise, you think about him a lot. I'm like, yeah, I don't know why. Also, in fairness, the trailer, the Mission Impossible
Final Reckoning,
showed right before the movie, which I call bullshit. They're going to keep making those movies until that man dies. Okay. If Wolverine is going to be in the same boat, they're going to do the same thing with Mission Impossible, which I've never watched a single movie, nor will I ever. Back to this movie. that was my initial thought when I saw Bucky, but I also got very excited when I saw him coming in to save the day. I was just like, yay, Bucky. And I'm like, yay, he's coming to save the day. And then he takes out the Red Guardian limo. And I'm like, oh, okay, that was not what I was expecting. But it makes sense, I suppose. But I need to understand how they came together to do the team up, the unofficial team up. And I'm like, wait a second. I understand why he wanted to gather them all to bring them in to testify against Valentina. However, I'm just like, how did we get from point A to point B? And then of course, Red Guardian is a huge fan of the Winter Soldier. Obviously, he, that much was understood when and if you watch the show, the final season of What If, which that episode of the Red Guardian and the Winter Soldier, I think was probably the best episode in that whole season. But I thought Bucky's great. I loved how he uses the dishwasher to wash his arm, as you do, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he was like the holdover. He's been in now. I think he's been in more MCU movies than anybody else, maybe now. Or it's pretty close. So that might change with Doomsday coming up. But yeah, it's great to have him. And honestly, I thought I knew I knew he was going to be in Doomsday before I saw the movie. But the moment when they're fighting Sentry in Avengers Tower or the Watchtower now, where it's just Bucky isolated with Sentry, the music changes and everything, and he takes off his jacket. I was like, are they going to kill Bucky here? That's what I kind of thought the first time I saw the movie. I was like, oh, that'd be interesting. But Sentry,
that would suck.
No, but he tears off his arm, but we've seen that happen a couple times with his arm being torn off, and so yeah. I thought Sentry was very imposing. Like it's very. I thought it was a cool fight scene in when they're all, fighting him. I mean, yeah, granted they have no chance against him, but it was cool to see that kind of fight.
I did not like Sentry with the blonde hair, right? Like in the whole getup or anything like that. I know that's probably semi close to the comic book illustration, but I preferred, and maybe this is just my dark soul, I preferred the Void version of Sentry, like the all matte black looking thing, and you barely get a little bit of the eyes. It kind of gave me same vibes of Frank talked about Love and Thunder, the God Butcher, because it kind of gave that same sort of essence, and I actually enjoyed that a whole lot. Again, this says a lot about my personality and what's wrong with me, but I thought that just looked cool. And then I was looking in the notes earlier about how the filmmakers decided to use this sort of blast shadows, to kind of give that effect of the shadow powers that Void had. And I'm like, yo, that's wild. Like it just looked cool. Like that whole thing just looked super cool in my personal opinion. And then just New York City just being blanketed in nothing but a black void was crazy. I'm like, that city has gone through so much in this whole MCU universe.
Let's talk about the Void a little bit more, because that was, part of the internal struggle that all of us have as you go to that dark place. Well, this character can literally send you to that dark place, to a shame room where you face, some of your worst moments in your life over and over and over. Frank, what'd you think about the Void and the power he displayed in this movie?
Yeah, I mean, very super powerful. The Jekyll to Robert's Hyde. The silhouette, the matted dark figure, I thought was kind of cool. It was good. It was good. I just wish it was met with a better defense, but it was good.
Brittany, what'd you think about every time Bob would interact with someone, you would see their darkest moment? We saw Walker's problems with his family. We saw even Valentina. We saw when she was a child, their dad was gunned down in front of her. What'd you think about those scenes? And of course, Elena is what we kept seeing over and over, where she lures this girl out to the woods, and then this guy comes in and guns her down. What'd you think about all those scenes and kind of how they played a part in the movie?
I feel like I've seen something similar in another movie. I don't know if it's superhero-esque or if it was just sort of a supernatural sort of themed show movie. I couldn't tell you for sure, but I feel like I've seen something similar before elsewhere. However, the visual of everyone's personal hell that they bury deep down inside that they don't want to deal with is something I think everyone across the world can relate to in one way or another. And the idea that this movie kind of focused a lot on mental health, and I can't remember, I think it was Mel who said it in the movie to Valentina about, well, when you inject a super soldier serum into Steve Rogers, you get a good guy, you get a hero.
Exactly.
But when you inject the same serum into someone who has demons, someone who has struggles, and someone who has a lot happening, you're not going to necessarily get the same result. You might get something darker. And that's very true, I would think.
It was the Erskine line, basically, just with a different twist from
Captain
America First Avenger, where good becomes great, bad becomes
worse.
Yeah.
Right.
Same thing.
And even Valentina, like in a fashion, tried to say something similar in the sense of, there's good, there's bad guys, but then you realize that there's bad guys and then there's worse guys, right? So that also was just a theme overall. Yeah. But to visually,
that was her worldview from what she saw as a kid.
Right.
I think that's what we're supposed to take from that scene, that it shows that in her world, there is no black and white. It's all just gray. So, yeah.
Well, I do love a morally gray character in my books, but sometimes it doesn't always play out. That being said, the visual representation of the different rooms that the characters dealt with, we didn't see anything from Ghost or Red Guardian, which is fine. Like it would have become far too convoluted at that point. But to see Bob in his room, his safe space, right? Everything is still echoing around him, but that was the one safe place that he could be in where he was unbothered. And that was Bob, right? That was, Sentry. I don't know if you even want to say Sentry, but like just Bob, right? Void is the dark parts of his mind. And I think visually it was just explained well. And even the camera movements from one room to someone else's, it would shift, and it was kind of very jarring, and that's how it feels, for someone like me. I deal with my depression, PTSD and stuff, and it hits me like a ton of bricks, and I don't know how to deal with it sometimes, and you do bury it deep down, or you have to face it head on, and it's a struggle either way. So I did appreciate the visual representation of trying to explain that to the audience.
Yeah. One thing I really hit on earlier was I talked about how what I really liked about this movie, and what I think really is what works for the MCU, is the character moments. I think this movie made, this is a bunch of characters that we haven't seen a ton of. And for like one character, for John Walker, I think it really made him a likable character, which obviously he was not in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I did like how he, I liked how he had an on your left moment, just like how Sam has one. Obviously, Steve Rogers has one. Obviously, theirs are a little bit better, but I did like how he had the on your left, where they're trying to get out of the vault, and he bashes the power source with the shield. He also took a lot of shit from people. Like you had Valentina calling him, junior varsity Captain America, and the jokes about him not being Cap for very long and all that stuff. And then the fact that his family life is not what it would seem that it would be.
His shield got
his
folded
shield
like
was bent into a taco, and at the end of it, he's riding that taco in one of those media pieces. I thought that was pretty funny. I don't know. I feel like
it's a great shield. No, it's not.
I thought they did a good job. I think that Ghost probably got the shortest shrift of all the characters. But I think even that character had some good moments. Whereas, I don't know. I feel like that's really important with these movies. You've got to make people care about the characters, not just, oh, they were in a comic book and here's the name of the person,
Yeah, I can agree to that. And I know Florence Pugh's character, Yelena, was pretty much the main character throughout this movie. However, I felt like her personal trauma, her demons, what have you. I felt like that was a little dragged out a little bit, especially when she was interacting with Alexei, the Red Guardian.
Mhm.
She goes to see him at his home, and you see the state of his living situation, and he needs purpose. She needs purpose. Okay, that's understood, right? She said as much. She made the phone call to Valentina about, hey, I want to do someone more forward facing. I don't want to keep doing ops, sort of situation. And I get that. But then later on, once Void was kind of in the mix, and the team's breaking up, and Red Guardian's following her, and she has the explosive moment of, you didn't call, you did it, this and that, what have you. It's like, okay, but that was already understood at the beginning of the movie when, hey, it's been a year, I haven't heard from you, like, how's it going? I'm like, did we absolutely need to see all that dragged out again? And that's part, Justin, that I was talking on earlier, that it was just filled, like it was kind of like filler again. But I understand that sometimes we do mask things where we think we're okay and we give off the impression that we're okay, but really inside we're just ready to snap. And I understand that was her snapping moment. I just didn't necessarily feel it was necessary at that moment. I'm not sure. And I don't have a solution or alternative to offer. I just felt like that was kind of dragged out. It's like, we get it. Like, we could have cut the 5 minutes here and put that elsewhere or what have you, but maybe I'm just being overly critical, which I probably am.
Well, let's talk about the Thunderbolts title name and how they came to be the Thunderbolts. Frank, what'd you think about that? The use of the Pee Wee soccer team story that kept coming up and was like, kind of, again, it was like kind of a character building moment for these characters. What'd you think about that?
I thought it was so abused. They kept bringing it up over and over and over again. I mean,
like 3 or 4 times maybe, but
it was 2 times too many. The first couple of times, like the second time when Red Guardian brought it up and like they were talking about who sponsored the team, that was at that point, just let the joke die, let the joke live where it's at.
Agreed.
And I thought they kept carrying on a little bit too long for me. Yeah. It was interesting how they didn't have any connection to Thunderbolt Ross at all.
Well, but see, I don't think there is a connection. I did some research. There's not a connection to Thunderbolt Ross in the comic book. Like the original Thunderbolts were not connected.
Did he not organize the Thunderbolts?
Look it up. Look it up. No,
I could have sworn he helped organize that group to come.
Type in what is Thunderbolt Ross's connection to the Thunderbolts, and then you'll see there is no connection. I could
have sworn he helped organize that group, but I just thought the joke was it went too long for me. I thought by the time they kept bringing it up towards the end of the movie, I was like, okay, it's cool. The joke was fine 2 hours ago. Let's leave it as is. To go back to Brittany's point too about the mental struggle with Florence Pugh's character. I think what they decided to do going into this movie to make this she's gonna be the star. She's gonna be the main focal point of this movie, and for any plot devices or plot holes, they were gonna revert to her. Like even with the stagnated moments in some of the scenes, it was cut with a Florence Pugh joke, or it was cut with like, a Black Widow line. And I think they decided early on in the production of this movie that all this fails, we're gonna make she's gonna be the main star of this film. I did think they spent a little bit too much on her mental health and what she went through as well. I do agree with you, Brittany. I would like to see, because like I would like to see a little bit more about Ghost. Like we didn't get much about Ghost in the film. Like since if you didn't watch Ant-Man, you have no recollection of who she is or why she's in the movie. I with John Walker, they did a good job of like pretty much summarizing what John Walker has been through the last few years. If you didn't watch Falcon Winter Soldier, and with Ghost, I didn't. I mean, I know who Ghost is, but like for people who didn't watch Ant-Man, you don't know who she is, and you're just kind of like, okay, who's this woman? And
I mean, she has a moment, and Walker kind of also talks about her a little bit. Like it's just like kind of here and there little things where they talk about her background, and
yeah, it wasn't really fleshed out for me. I thought it could have gave her a little bit more screen time as far as like her origin story and like what she went through as well. But you know,
Yeah. Brittany, is there anything else you want to mention that we haven't talked about?
I just sorry, had a moment. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think for the most part we've covered, I think the big bulk of what the movie is, the true origin name of the Thunderbolts, and the explanation of the asterisk, if you will, because that was never intended to be like the official name of the team up. The new name, of course, is, spoiler, the New Avengers. And the New Avengers and Bob will return.
Yeah.
That much we have figured out. But I do have a question, and I don't know if either one of you can explain this. With Valentina, she was the core of everything that was going to happen with the setup, with Sentry program that Bob was experimented on, and he was the only successful what do you call it?
Subject that made
subject. Thank you. Couldn't think of the word. And then at the very end of it, it's like the team up is gonna try to take her down, but then she blindsides them with this whole press conference, and she's like, I like to welcome the new Avengers who I led and what have you. And of course, Yelena says to her, we own you now. And it's like, but why wouldn't you out her? Why wouldn't you out her? Is it because for your own selfish gain of wanting to be forward facing and do good and not? I don't understand why she wouldn't have thrown Valentina under the bus. But
that part confused me too, because she
okay, good. I'm not the only one.
She killed, because like outside of the 5 people that survived, she killed a lot of assets to cover her tracks. A lot of assets all across the globe, and like to not answer for her crimes and to be like, oh well, here's like this stanchion, and like you're giving us the Avengers name. Fine, we can just forget about what you try to do to kill us and the hundreds of other assets you killed before to cover your tracks. Cool. And I was just kind of like, really? I thought it was kind of like weird.
But I mean, they're tied to each other, right? Like they killed people on her behalf. So like if they out her, like they're outing themselves. So
right, and that's why I asked. It's it for I'm just using Elena as an example because she wanted to be forward facing. Is it for her own selfish gain to be perceived in a more positive light than when she was Black Widow or part of the red room and all that stuff? You know what I'm saying? Like, because she's got red in her ledger, just like Natasha did.
Yeah.
So are we kind of just like echoing the same sort of sentiment of where like Natasha, by joining SHIELD, she thought she was doing good and what have you, and is Yelena kind of following in the similar footsteps of that?
And then like they just saved New York, so some kind of like that kind of like helps. I'm not saying it washes out the bad that they did, but if it wasn't for them, there wouldn't be New York. There wouldn't be probably the world. So it's like, I don't know how you don't recognize that with Tina and just let her walk away scot-free. And then like, so is that, and then like what does that leave the case with her? Like they were about to bring like that never came to fruition as well. It just kind of like just went away.
She pivoted. That's Valentina's brilliance. She kept pivoting to like, okay, well, we're going to get rid of all these. We're going to get rid of the Sentry stuff. Oh, we actually have a guy who survived. So he's actually the one. Okay, then we'll pivot to that. I'm going to make him Earth's mightiest hero. He's going to have all the powers of the Avengers combined. Oh, he doesn't work out. I have a kill switch. We're going to kill him. Now we're going to get rid of the Thunderbolts again. Oh, the Thunderbolts, they stop him and they save New York. Like you said, they save the world. She sees it, pivots like, oh, we have the press here anyway. Let's change it around. I mean, there's been so many press conferences in the MCU that are kind of similar where you have to change up because Spider-Man doesn't want to wear that suit. He doesn't want to be an Avenger. So you have to make a different announcement, like what Tony Stark did in Spider-Man Homecoming. So like she just pivoted to another thing to save her ass, but it worked.
But for Yelena and then for Bucky specifically to not out her, because he went in solely to get all of them to testify against her. He just let that other congressman. I mean, obviously Bucky was trying to fill a void of his own, right? He was no longer doing the bad things as he was as a Winter Soldier. He was no longer with his best friend Steve Rogers fighting evil and what have you. He yes, tried to do good by doing things the right way, if you will, the political way. But that apparently wasn't enough for him. He needs to be in the thick of it. He needs to be in the fight. He needs to do what it was that he was programmed to do for all intents and purposes. But it's like, why would you just leave them hanging like that? Like, come on, why?
And then like Wendell Pierce was still putting together a case to like out her in court, and it just I never saw him again. The black dude just disappeared. Like he never came up with it. Just there was a lot of loose ends that didn't get tied.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. That was kind of weird. And then Mel, like, okay, can someone explain to me how Valentina found out about Mel? Like, did she find out that she was talking to Bucky, and why did the Winter Soldier show up kind of situation? That's the part, like I said, I had walked out because I had to go to the bathroom.
So that's the part of the movie that I do have kind of an issue with, because it was kind of hard to understand where Mel was talking to Bucky because Valentina had gone too far. It seems like Valentina figured that out. She was talking to Bucky, but she never really like punished her. She just told her like, hey, you need to make a decision if you're loyal to me. And then when Century turns on Valentina, the kill switch is dropped by Valentina, and then Mel picks it up. So she saves Valentina, but you're not, it's weird because you're like, okay, was Mel in it with Valentina all along, or did she just save her because she's a good person? She doesn't want to see this person she's worked with die. I mean, it was kind of, that part was a little bit unclear to me.
Frank, you know who Valentina reminds me of?
Yeah.
A female Joe Goldberg. The gaslighting.
Yeah.
Where do your loyalties lie?
For sure. Yes. Yes. The sociopathic behavior.
Yes. And the pivoting and oh my God. Like, oh man. Real quick, Justin, we have Vincent. Sorry, I just muted myself. I don't know why I did that. We have Vincent here in the chat responding to Christian's comment about Bucky's hair. Bucky was aura farming in that post-credit scene shot by the Russos, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's a good point. The Russos did shoot the post-credit scene on the set for during the production of Doomsday, which just started like in the last month or so. So
it did.
That post-credit was put together pretty quickly.
Vincent also says they had no case after Oxcorp was incinerated, and only hope was getting Thunderbolts to testify, but turning them into the new Avengers saved her ass, which is why Elena said we own you now, which is true. I mean, you could go off and say, yes, there's no evidence, but the evidence is Sentry, right? That Oxcorp was experimenting. I mean, what happened to the evidence that Elena had gathered from the vault that was handed to Ghost and that was handed to John Walker? Like, did that just like disappear as well? Like photos, the logo, the mock-up of the costume and such, like where did that go? Like, did they lose that as well? I mean, that's something. That's something. And then the pictures of the nuclear blast looking shadow things, like that's something.
We mentioned Wendell Pierce a little bit ago. He's also going to be in Superman. He plays Perry White in Superman later this summer. So
good actor.
Wow, that was a hard left right there, Justin.
Well, I'm just trying to get all my stuff in before we get out of here. This has not gone.
Just like that was really different from what we were talking about.
I had planned. Yeah. So, is there anything else you want to mention before we get out of here?
I thought it was kind of cool is that the Oscorp mentioned Easter egg. Where that lab was derived from, where Robert Reynolds was housed at. It was kind of cool to hear Oscorp because we haven't actually seen Osborn.
Yeah, it's Oxcorp.
Yeah,
not Oz.
Oxcorp. Oh, I thought it said Oscorp.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, never mind then. Well, never mind. I thought that was an Easter egg for it.
He thought it was bridging with Spider-Man.
Yeah, never mind. Okay.
That's funny. Gotcha. That's funny. I do have to say, because it was like the first shot in the movie with Florence Pugh actually having performed the stunt of jumping off of that building in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I mean, she did that stunt, right? Yeah. I mean, granted, she's not falling the entire time, but she did take that step off the edge. And I apparently Florence is an adrenaline junkie. She likes doing those type of stunts, which I think is pretty cool. But hell no. For me, hell no. I did zip lining one time out in the British Virgin Islands. Not going to do it again. I'm good. I'm all right.
Yeah. So Yesenia just joined us in the chat. She had a question for us. She hasn't seen the movie yet. Her question is, are we back to the golden age of Marvel? I like the movie a lot. So I think that this was a step in the right direction.
Yes. And I think to answer part of that question, Yesenia, Vincent here in our chat as well says, Thunderbolts certainly made me feel how I felt watching when MCU first came out. And I think kind of to what I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this pod was, are we back to exactly where the Infinity Saga was? The answer is no. However, are we on the right track of getting back to a point that was very close to that moment? Because you're never going to get that moment again, right? It's never going to be recreated because it was a first. I think with the new Captain America movie, it's like, okay, we're aiming. This movie, we took 3 more steps. Fantastic Four, I'm hoping it's going to do well. And then with Doomsday, I think with the return of Robert Downey Jr., I would be very sad and disappointed if that movie flops, because you have an all-star cast and you have RDJ returning to the MCU in a different capacity. But I don't quite think we're back in the golden age of the MCU. I think this is just going to be a new.
I don't think we're ever
age.
going to be.
No, we're never going to be.
Yeah, I mean, the whole world going to care about it as much? No, because it already happened. But like,
yeah,
nothing will ever be as good as it was. Like that's just the way the world is. And even back then, when it was like hitting on all cylinders, there were people talking about being fatigued and tired of stuff. So it's just lazy storylines that people they say the same things over and over, and the world keeps on spinning. So unfortunately, we can't all just be sent to the void where it can just end. Let's wrap this up. Brittany, y'all know what we thought about the movie. Some of us liked it, some of us didn't. We want to know what you thought about Thunderbolts. How can they let us know?
Well, as always, we encourage everyone to join us for our live stream. And shout out to those in today's live stream: Yesenia, Vincent, The Dawn, Christian, King B. Johnson, and M Moves. We appreciate y'all being here. If you're watching the replay of this pod, be sure to leave a comment down below on your thoughts for the Thunderbolts asterisk, aka the new Avengers. Also, be sure to subscribe. We have some new faces here, so we hope that you will join us for our next pod review. So hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and also don't forget to turn on the notification bells. That way, the next time we will go live, which will be tomorrow, because we will be discussing the latest episode of The Last of Us, which, man, I'm so sad. But we've got You Part 2, episodes 6 through 10 coming your way this week as well. We also got The Handmaid's Tale that Amber and I will be reviewing this coming week. So once again, subscribe, like, hit that notification bell, follow our social media. You can find the links in the description box down below. And lastly, audio podcasts. We've got you covered with those on Apple and Spotify. Give us a follow and give us a 5-star rating.
Thank you, Brittany. I want to point out something that's in the chat from Vincent Salamatino. He says, we also have an entire business of people online hating Marvel and Disney, which does not help. Yeah, and these people are called engagement farmers. And let's all collectively try to hopefully their crops will dry up and die, because literally these people, they just create crap to get you to look at your screen, to click to whatever, and just to avoid that stuff. If you like something, like it. If you don't like something, you don't have to like it. You don't have to like everything. But there are people who are making money off of hating stuff that they probably don't even see half the time. Like they're that fucking lazy. So anyway, be better than that. We hope that
for Justin to say fucking on a pod, I
don't do it very often, but no. I kind of can get frustrated sometimes.
I'm the potty mouth in this pod.
Yeah. But no, hey, final thoughts. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought this was one of the better Marvel movies that they've had in a long time. I thought they really kind of put together a team, which they haven't done that in so long, and everyone's been wondering about that, and they finally did that. So I was happy to see that. Happy to see the Avengers. We have an Avengers team going forward, and I'm really looking forward to Fantastic Four in July. Looking forward to Doomsday next May. I don't think it's actually going to come out in May. I think they're probably going to push it back, just because how are they going to make this movie in under a year? I mean, maybe they can do it, but it's a lot lot to ask for what a movie. I mean, this movie has to be like a $2 billion kind of movie, I think, to make its money back, given the production costs and salaries for everybody and everything involved. So it's going to be an amazing feat if it actually comes out in May. So we'll see about that. Frank, final thoughts on the movie?
It was fine. It's cool. Kind of look forward to.
I don't think you thought it was cool. I think doesn't
No, it
seem
was fine.
like that.
It was fine. I mean, like all the Marvel movies in Phase 5, they've been fine. I don't hate any of these movies. They're fine.
Yeah.
Except the Marvels.
The Marvels, yes, that's the only movie I actually just hate. I can't stomach. But over the last decade, like, since Endgame, they've been fine. Outside the Marvels.
Yeah.
And Brittany, final.
I say everyone give it a shot. Go in with an open mind, little to no expectations, and come up with your own opinion, right? I mean, you've listened to what we had to say. We have very different opinions, and I think that's, to Frank's point from earlier, that's what makes having this podcast so great, is that we don't have to agree on everything. We can make the argument for our view and just have a conversation, right? It's not like we're here to say, hey, you better like this or else. It's hey, let's just like think of it from a different perspective. So everyone, go give it a go, see what you think about it, and then come back and leave us a comment about what you thought of the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, please do that. Appreciate it. So for Frank and for Brittany, I'm Justin saying thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time. Have a good night. Good rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.
May the 4th be with you.